I'm Sherry, and this is week 7 with our baby chicks. And I can't believe that it's already week 7. So I thought I would change it up a little bit this week and actually film from inside the chicken run. I would give the chicks their snack and tell you a little bit about what's been going on this week. Chick, 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 chick. Chick, 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 chick. Chick, 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 chick. Chick, 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 chick. So what we have here, and they're all going crazy. I'm going to move it back a little just so you can see them. There you go. So I don't necessarily give the chicks a treat every day. Basically, if we have some leftover leftover kitchen scraps, I will give them that along with some grit. Sometimes I just give them mealworms. It really depends on the day. Today they're getting something a little bit special. So when we brought our puppies home, they were given to us with a bag of food, and that food that we brought them home with was not the food that we wanted them to be on. So we slowly transitioned them over to the puppy food that we wanted them to have, and we now have 2 bags almost full. So what we've done is we put it aside, and I brought it out today so that I could blend it up a little bit, crush it up in our food processor, and slowly add it to any snacks that we give our chicks. So I'll probably give them that crushed up puppy food once or twice a week as a special treat. There's a lot of good things, nutrients that's in puppy food, and really, you know, when you decide what puppy food you want to give your puppy, it's all based on preference. And most of the puppy food out there really does have a lot of good things in it. So crushing that up and giving it to the chicks as opposed to ditching it or throwing it in the compost is really going to be beneficial to them. And I think that they really like it. Do you guys like it? Get in there, Ginger. Couple things that happened this week which were kind of interesting. So they have been in this run now for a week. Last Saturday we allowed the door to go up, and we allowed them to come out into this area, and we felt like they really liked it. I mean, I still feel like they really like it. The next day they weren't really coming out, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird, right? Like, why don't they want to come out? And so, you know, we waited, and I think by maybe 10 o'clock in the morning they had all come out. And I do think that, you know, they were still a bit nervous. I also think that they were probably a little bit tired because when I looked in the coop, some of them were sleeping in there. But that's not the weird part. The weird part was that there was probably 5 or 6 of them that had blood on their beaks. And I thought, what is going on here? Please do not tell me that at the age of 7 weeks old, we have bullying already. So I kind of went online, started doing some research, looking up to see at what point do chickens start causing drama, and when does the pecking order start, and, you know, what would cause 5 or 6 of them to have bloody beaks, but nowhere else on their body was bloody. And so the more I looked, the more I realized that it had nothing to do with bullying or pecking each other or anything like that. It was their first day that they were in this run. It was the first day that they were introduced to the hardware cloth that we have protecting them in this run. And over underneath the chicken coop, we didn't put the boards up along the bottom that we have in the run. We just put the hardware cloth from the bottom of the chicken coop and then out onto the lawn. So essentially what that meant was that they were trying to stick their faces, their beaks, through the 1/2-inch hardware cloth to get any grass that might be on the other side of that hardware cloth. And kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it until they bloodied themselves and really scraped it up. Now, I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know if I should just let them work it out and figure out that, you know, sticking your beaks through the hardware cloth is probably a dumb idea. They figured it out. They stopped doing it. So that was awesome. I do have to say that every night at about 8:30, these girls are in bed. And it still amazes me after a week of allowing them to come out into the run and to go back into their coop that they just instinctively know to go into the coop and perch up onto their roosts, put themselves to bed. It's the coolest thing that I think they've been doing, because how did they know instinctively to do that? Now, what I find really, really cool or interesting is how they roost. So the first couple nights, we were actually coming out and peeking inside the coop to see what they were doing in there, how they were roosting. And the first couple nights, they actually were using all 3 of the roosts that we have in the coop. And there would be like a group of 3, then another group of 2, then maybe a group of 5, and they were all like spaced out. The interesting part is the silkies. So these girls really protect the little silkies, and part of the way the coop is built, the roost actually goes right into the frame of the wall. So if you're up on the roost, you can actually walk over to the frame, the 2x4, that's the frame of the wall, and stand there as well. And so what these girls have done is they've allowed the silkies to get in onto the frame, and they butt themselves right up against the silky to keep them warm. The other thing that I noticed is that they're allowing the silkies to sleep on top of them. When I opened up the door and I saw that one little silky was squished up against the wall, keeping cozy, and the other one fast asleep on top of one of the big girls, I was like in awe that they were allowing them to do that. These big girls are 7 weeks old, and the little girls are 5 weeks old, and they've been out in this new coop since they were 3 weeks old. So the fact that the big girls, who have their feathers and, you know, they are keeping themselves warm because of that, are, you know, keeping the silkies cozy who still have some of their baby fuzz, is pretty amazing. So I'm going to let these girls finish eating. I'm going to go and tend to the garden. There's a couple things that I want to do in there. I'm hoping that I can do a garden tour tomorrow. So keep a lookout for my very first garden tour of the 2021 gardening season, because I haven't done one yet. And I'm really excited to share with you what's going on in my garden. Thanks for spending time with me.